Okay, so we have a couple of out of order resolutions to discuss. There were two things that came out of the public safety, and I know that the highway department request typically doesn't come out of public safety, but with the storm and the cleanup, the highway department, I didn't realize, has acted in many ways like a public safety agency because they've been out on the front lines cleaning roads and making sure we can access damaged areas. So it did come out of the public safety committee. And then the funds for the ambulance purchase, I think that's just, Jason, that's just the edit that we needed to make. Okay, so Jamie, do you want to come up and talk about the request?
You're talking about the emergency management request?
Yes, the employee that you're asking for.
So on ours, we're obviously have a ton of workload going on with this disaster recovery. I've got a few updates from when I met with you guys on Monday as far as public safety. This flyer is going around in the disaster assistance that's being handed out from FEMA. Just in our county alone, there's been 450 applicants, and $140,000 has went directly to those applicants already. Disaster-wide, these are all figures from Friday, 12.8 million, with 1 million a day of growth being seen up till Friday. So that's what we've got going on there. The county's hardest impact was our utility with Holston Electric. It's a multi-million-dollar impact. We're assisting with that to try to get them reimbursement needed. Our largest department, as far as county service, with an impact is the highway department, followed by our public safety agencies. So that's what we're assisting with trying to take care of. Our workload was already to the point that we've cut some vital services to the citizens, and I'd reach out to you all on budget before the last budget was approved and talk to you guys about. Our proposal is to throw the same offer back out to add another employee at grade scale 10 up to step 4 to try to get some experience in the department to help out with some of this. We're asking for that to be out of order just due to the workload right now. We're in continuous meetings nearly every day with somebody while this is going on. This is not just due to Helene. We already had that workload, but Helene is close to the breaking point as far as that. We had meetings with FEMA and FEMA this morning about the floodplain. They wanted to have meetings on Wednesday here. I said there's no way we could do that now. So we pushed that till next Wednesday to just deal with the floodplain aspect of this. As I expected, and as I said in public safety, there's going to be a huge floodplain issue pushed after this. A lot of those residents were in the floodplain. I know our floodplain has got a lot of campers and residents and stuff like that in it, so I anticipate the federal government's going to have a large push to take care of that as long as and state and probably TVA as well.
So what would they do with the ones that are already there?
My understanding is if we agreed at some point becoming part of the floodplain insurance program, that we would keep it cleaned out. That's what I've been told up to this point.
When you say we would keep it cleaned out,
County government. So the problem is people reach out to us, they ask for a floodplain permit, we tell them the process for how to get it. They realize what that's going to cost, and we never hear from them again. And we don't have anybody out patrolling it to see when these campers end up there. If a camper's in the floodplain over 180 days, it's considered a permanent structure. So that's kind of where we're at on that. So we'll see where all that lands over the next few years. The recovery from Helene is going to take years, locally and obviously regionally. We were lucky that our impact was more wind than it was water, but we've still got significant damage to our roadways. Dan, would you like to speak on the roadway cleanup just so we have an idea of how it impacted county government?
Ever since the windy night started, there were trees down on every road in the county. Most of them impassable between Holston Electric, Sheriff's Department, Highway Department, and anybody that had a chainsaw. Fire departments or whoever was there, they cut a hole for emergency vehicles and pedestrians, traffic to make it passable. But now we've got to go back and clean up from ditch line to ditch line and then clean up the right of way, which is gonna take many hours.
Sarah's been trying to assess our public buildings, our public infrastructure as well. We found some damage at Laurel Run. We found a little bit of damage to some county buildings, stuff like that as well. Money-wise, what we know is flowing right now is $100 million from the governor's office that will be distributed out to the affected counties as loans. That'll be on a 10-year term at 0%. We don't know exactly how that's going to get distributed within the presidential declaration. There's also $1 million to each county through First Tennessee Development and hub type programs, and there's about $200,000 locally through One Accord.
Okay.
So there's just a whole lot going on right now. And that's just 30,000 foot view of what's going on here.
So this new employee, what are you wanting them? Is it basically the same thing you told us your budget?
Correct.
Here.
So I'll give you an example of something that really caught our attention. A TVA dam had never went to a code red. You have minutes to respond when that happens. The week before, I've been out of the office for nearly 10 days, sometimes available, sometimes not by phone. We've got to build some resilience in my office for that, and to be honest, we've got so much finance right now, there's no way to keep on track of all of it. What I was telling him, the reason for doing this out of order, I'm not trying to put anyone in a position to have to vote fast, or put anybody in a bad position, but we're in a bad position as well on trying to process all this. So I'll answer any questions anyone's got.
Did you add an employee earlier in the year, Jamie?
I did not. We're at the, we hired a part-time that we were already budgeted for.
Okay.
And the part-time number can always change. I've been asked how many part-time employees do you have? Right now it's 2 that work regular, but that can change if we get a scenario where they don't work as much or whatever. The problem, this is not saying anything negative about my part-time, the problem you have with part-time is you can't go, you've got to work Saturday. We had this scenario, you've got to cover next week. That's extremely hard with part-time personnel. So that would give us the ability with this person to have someone on call all the time to answer the phone. The scenario that we dealt with over there, as far as the flooding, do you think it could happen here to that degree? Maybe not, but we're all hazards too. We went for nearly 48 hours before that with either flood warnings or tornado warnings, with a tornado touching down for the first time in October in East Tennessee, just inside of Hancock County, just outside the edge of Burke County. So we do have some climate change going on there as well. Those 10 days that I was out of town, I wasn't involved in it a whole lot, but we were also making sure some school safety information was getting to the correct people at state government. There were some things that was going on at the city school as well. So our climate there is changing as well. It's with all that safety, the safety aspect of that.
Jamie, what was grade 10 at 4 on the cost on that bid?
Here, what you figures for that?
$52,209 annually.
You said 52?
That's base salary, yeah, that's not including benefits, but that's the salary.
52 more, I'm sorry.
52,209.
Does anybody else have any questions for Director Miller about his position?
I do.
Yes, sir.
Jamie, I heard the other day the gentleman talking about grants. Do you feel that this would put you in a position to be more on top of grants that's available?
Any extra eyes we have on that helps. I feel like our value to the county is already pretty good, and when you look at this spreadsheet of what we pulled in grant-wise, it's pretty good, but it only adds to that. It opens up opportunities to put somebody else over on that. Something else that's going to come from this is hazard mitigation grants, which will give us just more opportunity. But a lot of people think once a grant's done that it's over. I'll give you an example of how much work goes into that. The very first grant that I got taken with this job was that analog radio system grant. We literally are closing it out on Wednesday of this week. So nearly 5 years later, we're still working on that grant. Up until now, Tuesday. Yeah.
Jamie, what job or qualifications are you looking for in this employee?
What I'd like to fill that with is a deputy director position, which is second in command to someone with previous office or emergency service or both. Someone that we're not teaching from the very base level, that's already got some foundation under them as far as a responder.
Is this something that you would post and take applications and interview?
Correct. I don't know what the legal limit on that is. I'd like to make it as short as legally possible just to get them in position as quickly as we could. But also a fair amount of time that's publicized. I don't know what that number is. We typically put that out for 2 weeks, but if we could legally put that out for a week, I think that'd give applicants time to apply. But I don't know what the legal standard is on that.
How will you advertise the position? Would it be by paper, social media?
I'll advertise it however it kind of go from it. Once we advertise it, we typically push it out on our social media, the mayor's social media. And, but I'm willing to advertise however we choose to. Eric, can you speak on that more, how that typically goes?
We used to do more with newspaper, but now or later we had a lot more success with Facebook than we had with newspaper. We usually do both, just to cover both bases. A lot of times we also put it on the website, try to get as many people interested as possible, but keep the cost down.
Did any of the jobs for Tennessee,
I'm not sure if that one right off.
American Job Corps? Jobs
That's
for
a second
Tennessee?
one on that one, I'm not sure.
Another thing that's going on locally, I don't think this will impact us, but FEMA's hiring 50 to 75 local hires for their agency as well at a very hefty salary. So I hope that doesn't negatively impact us.
Anybody else have questions for Director Miller? Okay, so Director Miller, what can you do within your budget to move money in order to mitigate the effect, the impact to the fund balance?
So we already have a pretty thin budget, in my opinion, anyway. And we had before mentioned taking it part-time to make full-time. The problem I have there now is the only people in my office with any experience is on part-time. If we continue to expand this radio system, we're even going to have more help inside the office, because we're going to be going from 500 devices to nearly 900. So there's a lot changing there. As we add that, it also has a negative impact on my budget where I maintain that equipment from as well. So I don't feel like there's anything we can give up our budget with what we've been presented here.
You're asking for a grade 10. Could you go a little lower to a grade 9 or a grade 8?
I was asked by public safety about, I'll take anything that I'm given, but I was asked by public safety if we could get a quality candidate for that rate. And my opinion on that is, as long as we pay that person correctly. We're going to be targeting public safety to try to pull someone over, but that's less than what we pay some of our public safety employees in the county now by a significant amount. If you want that experienced person answering the phone when you've got 20 minutes to make a life and death decision.
And my next question, I want you to understand, and I think I said this before, it wasn't a matter of, and I can only speak for my own personal vote, it wasn't a matter of whether or not I felt like you needed it at the time. It was a matter of, can we afford it given the revenue that we were generating and the expenditures that are going out that are increasing all the time. So it wasn't a matter of whether I thought you were overinflating and just trying to get another person for no reason. I knew that you were asking for the right reason. So it's a matter of affordability to me.
Yes.
So my next question is, and maybe it's a question and somewhat of a statement, that if we were to grant you an extra position in EMA at whatever grade scale, budget season is going to come up again, and we're going to have this conversation all over again, because you're talking about $52,000 of recurring revenue over the next few years.
Correct.
And I can't promise you that it would get included in the next budget.
That's also a problem where we get into hiring and retention. When that goes out publicly, it really hurts the hiring ability of that position. But I'm also going to be open with that because I know that's an aspect as well, but we couldn't expect someone to leave a full-time job to come to this county with the possibility of it only being for a couple of months.
Well, it wouldn't be for a couple of months. If you started as quickly as you need to now, it would at least run through July, which is the end of the fiscal year.
Correct. I know what my answer would be if I was in that position of being full-time employed and asking to go to another county. I also would answer that no
Right.
for that temporary time. But I know that's a risk, and if anything, I think this disaster has shine the spotlight on what emergency management does. When you saw in the impact area, those emergency managers have been on every press conference. That's because that's who's behind the scenes pulling in those $1 million FEMA teams to save those civilians. And I'll be honest, I don't think a lot of people, even the public, realize what emergency management's role was until this publicity locally has come along. But we definitely have an issue that we need to try to address. I agree it's a primary issue, but we've got to take a serious look at some of this.
Jamie, how would this, adding this position, help us better serve the people in Hawkins County that have been affected by Hurricane Helene?
Right now, we honestly can't even process the grants that are coming along to know what the terms are going to be. Some of that hadn't been determined at the state level, so we're having to process that. We're having to process the floodplain management on top of that. We're having to do our normal daily activities that we would be doing anyway. So we'd have some foundation to actually start addressing these things one by one. This is not something that we're just dealing with alone. Some of our neighboring counties always use Carter County as an example beside of us. They got three. They're the only county that's similar to us as in doing the radio system and emergency management. There's 3 full-time employees in that office taking care of that. So,
Is that not? Do we not contract with someone in Sparker that does grant
First
writing?
Tennessee Development District.
So why is there a reason that those?
Doesn't alleviate us from being involved in the process and having to workload. They still depend on us to gather all the information for them.
I've talked with Harrison this week, and there's a large amount, well, I won't say a large amount of workload. There's workload that he's needing to process that $1 million that we honestly don't have the people or the manpower to take care of it all. They're expecting a lot more.
I mean, they're trying to schedule meetings right now, but I don't have personnel sent to go see the meeting, so. Yeah. Yes, they are an asset, they do help out significantly. This one's dead as well. But you still have to have personnel to take these meetings to gather this information to be able to regurgitate it back to everybody.
So what limits us from hiring one grant writer to cover, your office and any other office in the mayor's office or administration that we could use? Why not just hire one and spread them out according to what's needed in different offices? So sure, funding, but why? I guess the question that I'm asking is it sounds as if we need help writing grants. It sounds as if that's the key. If that's the case, then why can't we just hire a grant writer for the county and let them spread their work out in different offices, and then we're getting more bang for our buck?
Not a bad approach, but I just want to reiterate, it's not just writing the grants, it's following them through. This person doesn't need anybody to write a bunch of grants. They need to see the grants we already have through. We already have more grants than what we can handle. We need somebody to facilitate them, see them through from start to finish, make sure we're in compliance with them, close them out, and make sure we don't have audit findings over our grants. We've got over 20 plus grants right now, and not enough personnel to manage them.
So
Well, I guess what I don't understand is I work with First Tennessee Development District. I've got three $250,000 grants and a $90,000 grant. I'm managing those myself. And we all know I wear lots of hats. I manage them through the First Tennessee Development District, so I guess I'm trying to figure out why they manage my grants, but they're not managing your grants. And if we're getting grants from federal, they're going to manage those grants. You're going to tell them what you need, and then they're going to tell you what they're going to give you.
I wish it worked like that, but the way all this money will flow on PA, we have to put a request. The funding is there, but we have to request it. So Danny will have Danny and Holston Electric will have to request that funding. They'll have to work with FEMA with multiple forms of documents and
So won't Host Electric be filling out those forms?
they will. And justification, my office steers those forms once they come in to make sure everything's getting done on deadlines. Some things, the deadline is November 1st, some things is 180 days, some things will be out to years on this, depending on which program it is. I was on a meeting earlier, there's probably 25 different avenues of funding for these counties that is having to be sorted through to see what's qualified for each county. They will be denials, and it will be a lengthy process.
That's what 150 FEMA people for, correct?
To
Go
deny,
through the denials?
to deny claims.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but there's always something that they'll pick up. Here. I know when we go out on deployment, we typically don't see any money as far as 911 for about 2 years, correct?
It's about 1.5 to 2 years. But just an example of that, like when we went to Carter County or any other deployment, that's done through our local emergency management agency. So when we fill out that paperwork, he goes to Jamie, and then he has to take it from there. So that's just an example
To
of.
take it to FEMA to get reimbursed.
Yeah.
It's never an easy process. The tornadoes in 2011 in Greene County, the last month, this was April 2011, the last money for that come in like 2017. So that tells you how long these projects stretch out. Luckily, we're not a county that's sitting here broke trying to figure out how to navigate this, because we could easily be in that scenario, and that's what some of these other counties are having to navigate. That's why there's so much money flowing right now to stabilize budgets in these regions.
So the grants that you could apply for, and I think I'm kind of asking the same question I asked a minute ago, but I really want to understand the impact that this has on the people of our county, right? If we're able to get this funding, what would this funding be used for, and how is it going to impact our people's lives on a daily basis if we don't get it, or if we do?
So grants is a aspect of this job, but it's not 100%. The other portion is response, preparation, stuff like that for disaster. That emergency plan that's probably not going to get done in time. That's other aspects of this job. I think the figure's about $3 million is what we've pulled in or been some part of since I've been here in 2019. So it kind of gives you an idea. That only grows from there.
So how often do we update the emergency plan?
Every 5 years.
5 years. When's the last time it was updated?
It'd been 5. When I first came in, then we signed a document that we were updating the plan then, which is 2019, and it's due December 31st of this year. But that process has been completely derailed due to Helene.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions for Director Miller? So what he's asking for is a grade 10 employee at least step 4, or up to step 4, I guess is what you're looking for?
Yeah, depending on experience.
Grade 10 up to step 4 at an annual salary, not including benefits, of $52,209 to begin as quickly as possible.
I've got another thing here. Without emergency management and agreement to EOC land, how do you think this event would have fared?
It went south quick.
What was the question?
Without emergency management and the emergency operations center, the morning of this impact, I asked Lynn how he felt this event would have went.
Okay.
If this event had happened 2 weeks before that, that was a scenario we'd have been in.
Yeah, I mean, it would have went south quick. We assist EMA in the emergency operations center, but we don't have the manpower to run that type of operation.
We were putting a request in for heavy equipment, chainsaw crews, anything from state government and federal government that we could get that morning, because we physically could not get to medical patients. So that's the dire need, in my opinion. The grants is just gravy. We've got to worry about the lives first.
So do you believe you can generate enough in grants to bring back to the citizens of Hawkins County that would justify $52,209 a year?
With what we've been assisting FEMA with, $140,000 directly in the taxpayers' pockets in grants. So yes.
Okay, would the committee like to take action on this today? There's already an out-of-order resolution, but it still needs to have approval from the budget committee to move forward.
Has that resolution been written?
No, it's not been written, it's not been filed. It's just we from the public safety committee recommended that it come here as an out-of-order resolution. So thank you for clarifying, no, there's no resolution that's formally been written.
This has been an unprecedented event for our county, and I think if it is service for us not to vote on it, I think it deserves to be voted on. And so with that, I'll make the motion to move this forward.
Would you move it forward according to his request, exactly like his request is?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, second by Mr. Palmer. Any further discussion about moving forward? And this, by the way, will come up as an out of order next Monday night.
I think, like Josh said, we discussed our public safety. It's one of them situations we kept putting off, hoping that something would never happen. And unfortunately, it has happened. And the amount of money that we could be losing on this, just like Josh says, I think the disservice to the citizens if we don't at least put it to a vote.
Mr. Miller, the one thing that I would request, and I'm inclined to vote yes to move this forward, is that if you get this position in place, that during our quarterly meetings, you present to us how that position is generating revenue in excess of what we're investing. That's all I ask. Because I at least want to show that if that position is designed, to clarify, in part to write grants, but also to serve as your deputy and to be that manpower, show us that it's paying for itself.
I went with the biggest value of the position can't be measured.
I agree.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we're the budget committee, right? We're dollars and cents.
Yes.
So that's what I request.
The chairman of public safety, I agree. I would like to see in our quarterly meetings at least show, here's what grants we've applied for, this is what we've received. I support Jason's
And
comment.
this is what was purchased with the grant.
Yes.
I think that's the key right there.
I guess what we're saying is, in an ongoing manner, show us that position is needed and prove that we did the right thing by moving forward.
And I have no problem with that. I just wanted to point out that some of the biggest benefits can't be measured.
Can't qualify everything, but you can quantify part of it.
Yeah.
I agree. All right. The motion has been made and seconded to move Mr. Miller's request forward. Any other discussion?
Be clear, we can review this come budget time for the following year.
Yes, there's not a maintenance of effort on this position, so it certainly could be. And I know that this doesn't help your hiring process, but it could be revisited during budget season.
Something else this helps with is having adequate training. Our training's not near what it should be for the role that we play. I mean, mine is, but it's hard to part-time capacity for everyone to be available when those classes and stuff happen. So also gives us redundancy in training.
So when you do the training, you'll be here, or this new person will be here, is that correct?
There's one grant I have that we're all required to attend that's 3 days during the year, but there is parameters put in place to protect the county during that. The state takes care of that for us. But any position that we turn in on one of our grants has to attend a 3-day workshop. That's the only time that there would potentially not be someone within their response range.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Ms. Sarah, will you call the roll, please?
So are we going to put any dollar amount other than the salary with this motion?
It would just be grade 10 up to step 4 with the annual salary at $52,209 a year, not including benefits. So it's hard to put a hard number on that because it depends on who you're going to hire.
Is that at step 4, the 52?
Yeah, and I can work that budget number up as such. The only thing that the variable I won't know is what insurance is required until the position's filled. They go through their onboarding process and select whatever's applicable to them. So I'll work it up as close to it as I can, but the insurance will be the one variable still hanging out there.
Another thing too, just on the grants, I requested Mark to have a meeting with Mike Harrison about that aspect of it, but it's not worked out schedule wise where me and Mark was both available because that came up during budget as well.
Sarah, let's call the roll.
Nancy Barker,
Yes.
Jason Roach,
Yes.
Danny Elvis,
No.
Joshua Gillum,
Yes.
Tom Kern,
Yes.
and Robbie Palmer.
Yes.
5 yes, 1 no, motion carries.
Okay.